So I know I've been gone for a while. For the four of you who watch my videos, I have been busy with work and stuff. However, now that I am done with work for a little bit, I have some time to catch up on some recreational activities, one of which being my channel. So I'm so glad that you're here. I'm very glad that I have the opportunity right now to work on my videos, and let's get started with the book review. So I'm reviewing the book A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay, or Paul Tremblay if you nasty. This book really surprised me at the end. Where it started and where it ended up going was not what I expected. And of course I did kind of expect, a little bit of what the ending was about, or a little bit of what the ending suggested. Overall, ending and conclusion of the book did really give me a pleasant surprise. This book is about a New England family. It is about how their relationship basically deteriorates from the inside out due to their oldest daughter behavior. It's kind of turning a little demonic, you could say. And so she claims that she has a head full of ghosts. Ding ding, the title. Right, so she claims that she has a head full of ghosts and telling her all of these things, giving her this information, and they're telling her all this sinister stuff. The story actually follows Mary, who is 8 years old at the time. Marjorie is 14 and Mary is 8 at the time. And Mary is telling the story from her point of view. And basically, if the book follows this, the younger sister Mary, when she grows up, a bloggist, starts following her life. Blog part, I will say, it lost my interest in the beginning. It really did lose my interest because even throughout the book, the text type would change a little bit when it came to the blog post, and it was just such a sudden shift of perspective and time and stuff like that. It made me lose the plot a little bit. But yeah, so Mary is telling this journalist, bloggist, columnist, whatever, about her life as an 8-year-old, and seeing her sister go through this mental illness / demonic possession, and how her parents' relationship with themselves, each other, and her, how it crumbled underneath all of the pressure. Throughout the story, Mary is telling about how at a certain point, a TV cast and crew came in and started to film their lives because the dad, who you could tell by the way that the family was written in the beginning of the book, that they weren't really religious, because the dad brought up the idea of praying together, and everybody was like, pray? We don't do that. We don't pray, right? So you could tell that the family wasn't necessarily religious. However, going through all the things that they went through with Marjorie, the dad reached out to the Catholic Church and the father for help, the priest for help, and so they brought in this TV crew, and they gave the family a TV show called The Possession or something like that. And so in The Possession, they basically shot the family's life and shot all the things that was happening with Marjorie and stuff like that, and they aired it on TV. Of course, this caused some more strife for the family within the community, protesters coming out, a little bit about Mary being bullied in school, and Marjorie altogether just not going to school, which that is understandable, And so a very important point in the plot, which they talked about, was Mary and Marjorie's relationship. Mary and Marjorie's relationship is really one of the cornerstone details of this story. They had a really, really strong bond, and you can read that about Tremblay's writing. And so in the beginning, they talked about how Mary and Marjorie would always read books together, and that Marjorie would add some adaptations into the story. And so she was still doing this throughout the story. However, the adaptations would become really gruesome. And this is going to start coming into, some of the spoilers. So if you have not read the book, or if you think you want to read the book, then maybe this is a point where you want to skip in the video or just stop watching. Actually, don't stop watching the videos, because that's not good for a brother's algorithm. So, maybe skip ahead. But anyways, so they wrote stories in the books, right? So Marjorie would write adaptations in Mary's little storybooks or whatever. Throughout the story, Marjorie continued to make these adaptations, right? However, the adaptations were really gruesome. They would become really sinister. And one of them was about like the growing things. And it was a story about a bunch of vines growing up from the bottom of the house. Everything that they touch, they just like engulf the whole house or what have you. And also at the end of that story, it talked about how the dad was going to poison the family and kind of kill them. And so towards the end of the story, it's one of the big spoilers of it, Marjorie convinces Mary that her dad is actually going to kill the whole family. And she does this by showing her a bunch of articles and stuff about dads who have previously killed their family or murdered their family to financial stress. And one of the big points also of the story was that Marjorie's dad wasn't working, so the family really was in like financial hardships and financial ruins, on top of caring for a kid who is obviously really sick and stuff like that. So Marjorie convinces Mary that the dad is one of these guys who is like going to kill everybody, and it's over. So she convinces Mary to go downstairs and go and get this vial of poison, which Mary thinks the dad is going to use to poison the family with, and add it into the spaghetti. Add into the spaghetti sauce, the red sauce, that it disappear, it wouldn't be traceable at all. So, Mary already does not eat red sauce on her noodles. That's one of the things that they talk about. She mainly eats just like butter, cheese, Parmesan, whatever on her noodles, and the rest of the family enjoys red sauce. Marjorie convinces her that if she puts the poison inside of the spaghetti sauce, that it will only put enough to knock the parents out. She would refuse the spaghetti sauce for the night, just like Mary does every night. And so the girls, while the parents are knocked out because the poison, could run to the police and get help for the father and stuff like that, and their family would be saved. Little does Mary know, Marjorie actually dumps a whole lot of red sauce onto her pasta, and all of them kick the buckets. All of them end up 6 feet under, sleeping with the fishes, taking a dirt nap, down for the count at the end of the book. And little 8-year-old Mary is cowering under the table for like days, I believe, at least 4 days, until her aunt comes and rescues her. And that is pretty much how the story ends, which I really did not expect. That was a huge twist and turn of events. I really was not expecting that. Let's talk about theme. I really did enjoy the way that the book ended. However, I think that thematically the book really, really harkened on mental health a lot. From the way that we didn't know if Marjorie, was, maybe if she was exhibiting some traits of schizophrenia or, something else, or if she really was possessed. Writing show how her physical appearance also deteriorated throughout the book, along with her mental health. As that deteriorated, so did her physical appearance, and that was described in the story. As far as the mom, she smoked a lot throughout all of the things that was happening with her family, and how she, was really upset and quick to go off on Mary, her 8-year-old kid. And, at the end, it was just heartbreaking scene where she kind of went off on Mary, and she kind of cursed at her and, told her to kind of get the fuck from her, and and did not apologize and did not seem apologetic. It was very callous, and for a mother to be that callous to their 8-year-old who is really just reaching out for some attention and some affection in an environment which really lacks most of that, that is really sad to read. Is really heart-wrenching. And with the dad, how he kind of clung on to religion during this time, and how he really reached out for the help of the Catholic Church, and how he was kind of painted in the family's documentary, but also in the book, it's kind of like the guy who was really holding the family together with his faith and all this stuff. But you could actually see in real life how he was spiraling. He was getting into fights with the protesters and stuff like that. And Marjorie was even able to convince Mary, based on his actions and behaviors, that he was going to, off the whole family. So right there, you can already see that he exhibited a lot of, symptoms of a deterioration of mental health. And as far as Mary, well, Mary was the youngest, all this, and she really got neglected because her sister was getting all the attention, which, understandable. She was the sick one. She was the one who needed the attention most, urgently. However, Mary still exists. She is still there. She is a part of the family. And so I think where Mary's mental health is really affected is, her relationship with her parents, her sister, being a kid who was stuck in a room with the dead bodies of your families for almost a week. I thought that this book overall, I thought that it was really good. I thought that it was predictable in a way because of all the foreshadowing about, the vines and the dad might poison his family. I thought that the ending, only the poisoning aspect was predictable. However, everything else I feel like did surprise me about the end. I think that the writing was pretty good. I don't really have anything to say about the technicalities of the writing. I think that it wasn't necessarily really slow, which I enjoyed, because I don't really enjoy books where there's a lot of detail and it goes really slow and I lose the plot. Shout out Madame Bovary. Not a book for me. But yeah, I thought that Paul Tremblay did a very good job at highlighting all the different facets of how people's mental health can be affected, and how relationships are very fragile and they can be tested. And when enough factors build upon itself and upon a group of people, it doesn't matter if they're family, it doesn't matter if they're the closest people to ever exist or live, those relationships and those bonds can be tested. So I overall really did enjoy this book. I give it, a 4 out of 5 stars if we're counting, or, maybe something like a little bit more spooky, because it was like a horror novel. So maybe 4 out of 5 skulls, or, something like that, something real cute, real spooky. So yeah, that is the end of my book review. If you would like to read it, go out, purchase A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay, because I'm nasty. Is kind of giving Velma, or is it Daphne? It's giving Velma, and I'm ready to do my book review.